Okay, hello guys. Welcome to another class. I hope you enjoy all our previous class and I believe all your questions were answered. So today we are going to talk about introduction to prototyping. What is prototyping? What does it look like? What are the reasons behind prototyping and what are the types of prototyping? So today we are going to talk about introduction to prototyping. So this is what prototype actually means, connecting one screens to another. So when you see something like this, just have it in mind that this is what prototype actually look like. Now, prototype is an experimental process where design teams implement idea into tangible forms from paper to digital. Teams build prototypes as of varying degree of fidelity to capture design concepts and tests on users. With prototype, you can reference and validate your design so your brand can release the right product. So what this actually means, it means that prototype is a process where you have to implement ideas just the same way you are implementing idea for flowchart and then wireframe. It's also how you need to now connect those wireframe you've done, any types of wireframe you have done, connect it, make it implement the idea. Okay, if I am on this particular screen, I need to connect it to this screen to see if those flow actually work, to see if it has a nice experience, because you don't want your user to be frustrated when using that product. So you just need to validate your ideas, your design. So it's just like, okay, am I following the right footstuff? Am I going to the right directions? So that we will not make mistake when the final product is out. Okay, a prototype is a model or a preview of your design that can be used to test the concept or solution. Just like what I said, okay, this prototype now I'm actually working on this wireframe, whether low fidelity, whether mid fidelity or even high fidelity. Now I have connect these screens together. Does it actually fit in? Does my user feel frustrated when navigating through that product? Does it actually go where? So that is what prototype means. It gives you solutions, because if you create idea, you've created an idea. Those ideas, does it actually solve your user's problem? Now, depending on the level of your prototype, it might take the form of a rough sketch, digital sketch that look just a little more detailed than what you came up during iteration, or it might be similar to what a final digital version might look like. So what this actually means is your prototype can be done on a piece of paper. So during last class when we talked about um types of wireframe that I told you, we have the paper wireframe, we have the which is the low fidelity, we have the mid fidelity, and then we have the high fidelity. So you can actually use any of them to do prototype because it will look for, similar to your final design. So you can create a simple paper prototype by hand. More on this in a moment. Or you might use a prototype tool, which is your Figma, to create a digital prototype that is more detailed and easy shareable. More commonly, UX designer build a rapid prototype and iterate on that before they invest time and effort to build more detailed prototype. Now, what this actually means is, for those of us when we have an idea to come up with, and then we've done our flow chart, and then we start doing our wireframing. Now we've done our paper wireframe, we have to do the connection on the paper wireframe. So we've done to know that, okay, when a user is navigating through this, they are not going to be frustrated, they are going to enjoy this product when trying to navigate on it. And you know that, okay, this thing actually solve a problem. This idea I'm creating is actually solution. So that what that means. So once you are done with the paper and you are sure that they are not going to feel frustrated, then you can now, or then after that you can actually present that in your team. Then they will take a look at it and be sure that okay, this idea you actually came up with is actually a good solution, before you can then move to your digital tool, which your digital wireframe, using your design tool, which is Figma, to create more digital um prototype. Now when you have to create your mid fidelity and your high fidelity, so that is what that means, before you can now move to the final product and then start building, or and then start doing your prototype. Okay, now what are the reason for prototyping? There should be a reason for prototyping, just the same way there's a reason for wireframe and then there's a reason for flowchart. Now what is the reason for prototyping? To give all customer a clear picture of the potential benefits, risks and cost associate with where a prototype might lead. Now what this actually means is to give all your user a clear picture of how their potential benefit look like. So if I'm actually creating this problem, this solution, if I'm trying to solve this problem, does it actually solve the problem of this user? The solution, does it actually solve the problem of this user? Are they actually using this product in a good way? Like, are they actually enjoying this product when navigating through? So that is what it means. You don't want to frustrate your users. You want them to have a clear um you want them to have a clear understanding when trying to navigate through that product. Now the next is to adapt to early change, sorry, to adapt to stage early, to adapt to stage early if there are any major or minor changes in the prototype. So what this actually means is what this actually means is let's say you the flowchart you did, and you know, when you did the flowchart, you're going to implement those flowchart into screens, and then you find out that there's an error when you're doing your low fidelity. You can make the changes early when trying to say, okay, this button is not supposed to be here, because when I click on this button, where is it going to take me to? When I click on this element, where is it going to take me to? You will find out some little error, and then you can just make your changes quickly. Okay, now to take feedback from users and make necessary changes. Now another reason for prototyping is to take feedback from users. You really want to test your prototype by sharing the link when you do your, let's say for example, you've done your mid fidelity and your high fidelity, for instance, and then you use your Figma, and then you share the link for people to actually test your prototyping. You want to get feedback from them because you are building for users, not for yourself. So you put out the link there, maybe share with users, share with your friends who are not designers, or maybe who are designers as well. Share with developers, just share with users, as long as it is them that is going to use product, and then give them some questions, ask them some questions about how was their experience. Do they have anything to tell you about this product? What, when you're trying to use it, were they having any difficulty? Was it easy? Stuff like that. So when you ask those questions and then they answer those questions, then you would get different answers, which will help you. Let's say maybe you get a negative answer that they say, okay, change this here, and then you will implement the changes and make necessary, because you are building that product for them, not for yourself. Because what you might like is not what your users might like. Remember, you're building for users with different abilities. Okay, those with abilities and those with disabilities. Okay, it saves you cost of manufacturing the exact product in the early stage of implementing, of experimenting. Now what this actually means is you save you cost, whatever money you're going to spend when trying to build the final product, you make it spend less. Because let's say for example you skip wireframe, you skip prototype, and then you build the for flowchart, and then you jump to high fidelity, sorry, you jump to the final stage, and after building it, you did not do let's say you do the prototype, just you didn't do the prototype, and then you give the developers to actually implement the design. And when they implement the design and they give it to you to say, oh, Angela, come and see the design you did. Oh, look at what the developer did. And when you're trying to navigate, you find out that there's a problem. Or then when you give to your users to test, and users tell you, why is it that if I click on this button, it's taking me to this button place? It's not, this is not the right navigation. And you see a lot of feedback, negative, like you see a lot of feedback that are not right. So you have to start going back and start going working on your low fidelity, high mid fidelity, and high fidelity wireframe, and then you start connecting each screen to another. You can see that it has you have actually spent money trying to implement the design, and it didn't meet up to what you are expecting. You get, you've actually spend money, and now it will now take you back to what you're supposed to do at the initial stage. Now the cost of preventing is less than the cost of correction and cost of failure. Just the same thing I said. It is better for you to follow the right direction instead of skipping this particular process. So it is better for you to follow the right direction instead of skipping the right process. So it's so that you will not spend much, and you will not spend a lot, even in correction and even in failure and all. Okay. Now, what are the different types of prototype? I believe we all know the different types of prototype, because even from what I have explained, definitely you will say we have the low fidelity, we have the high fidelity, and then we have the mid fidelity type of prototype. Because if you say we have these three types of wireframing, definitely you want to connect each those screens together in the wireframe. Okay, where you have the low fidelity. So once I'm done with my paper sketch, I have to connect the screen to be sure that okay, my users will not feel frustrated when using this product. It's actually an easy to use product. So the same way we have type of wireframe in the wireframe is also the same way we have for type of prototyping in prototype. So you have the low fidelity, we have the high fidelity, and then we have the mid fidelity. So this is what a low fidelity prototype look like, where you have to connect the screens. So you have to connect the screens. Now if you watch, you see this is telling you, when I click here, I get this from here, I get this from here, I get this. Then also here connect to this screen, and here connect to this screen, and here also connect to this screen, and here to this screen, this to this screen, this to this screen, this to this screen, and then this continue this screen. Okay, so this is how low fidelity prototype actually look like. Now, low fidelity prototype is also called papers prototype. These are the simple non-working model of the product. They are not working at all. It's just your drawings. Okay, it's just your drawings and all. So that is what it means. Quick to produce due to the simple model. It is very, very easy. Very, very easy to produce. It's not expensive, and it's not inexpensive due to not much time, effort, and resources used. So it is not expensive. It's the cheapest, very, very cheap. As long as you have your A3, A4 drawing book paper and all, and then your pencil, you are good to go. It won't even take you 10 minutes, you are done, because it's something that you just have to draw or sketch on a piece of paper. So it's not actually real. It's not real because it's not a working model, which is what I just showed you here. Yes. Now the next one we have the mid fidelity prototype. So what is the mid fidelity? It is the next level to the low fidelity prototype with some functions often called wireframe. You get. So it is what it is called. It is also a quick process because of the less work and effort. There are some reason in it due to some functions. There is no fine detail provided in this prototype. This is what it actually look like, because you've actually moved from paper to your digital tool, where you have to use your phone frame or phone mockup to create you've actually sketched it on a piece of paper to get the right direction, the right pattern and all, but it's actually not looking arranged, it's not looking aligned, and now you want to make it to look aligned. So this is how you want to look alike. Then you have to move it to your digital tool by using the right phone frame you want to use, or maybe the tablet frame, or then the web view frame. And then you will now see how it's going to be arranged, how the sizes of everything you want. So and then you can now do the prototype to be sure that okay, this thing is actually looking arranged when it's going to be implemented, or let's say when it's going to be um fully out. It's going to be arranged, it's going to take the spacing between the top and the bottom is going to be okay. So this is what mid prototype actually look like. Mid fidelity prototyping actually look like. It's just the same way we did for our wireframe, just the same thing. The way we have the three types of wireframe, it's just the same thing, but the difference is the flow. So those ones is just the display of the designs of wireframe. Now while in prototyping is the display and then the connections. Okay, just the connections. Okay, so now the next one we have is the high fidelity. We all know what is high fidelity. Almost the final design. It has the look of almost the final design, and it has all the functions, it has all the image, it has everything. Okay, it has the color, the font, the size, everything. And then this is how it look like, where you have to do the prototyping to be sure that it is okay. Now when I click on this back icon, where is it taking me to? When I click on get started button, where is it taking me to? Okay, this is how it look like, which means it look like the um all it is almost the final stage, and it has the look and feel of the final design. Okay, now what is the difference between prototype and final product? I think this is actually where some persons actually made some little mistakes about prototype and final product. Just like when I was making research, I found out that I also made that mistake where I would say the high fidelity is actually the final stage of the design. And I found out that where during my research I found out that the high fidelity, it is almost the final stage. So the high fidelity, from what I understood, I would say the final fidelity is actually the product, the real product we are looking at, while the high fidelity is actually the one we just did prototyping on our digital tool. Now the key difference between a prototype and a final product lies in their purpose, fidelity and stage of development within the design process. A prototype is an early version or representation of a product or system that is created to test and validate design concepts, gather feedback, and create an ideas before proceeding to final production. Prototype can vary in fidelity, ranging from low fidelity sketch or wireframe to high fidelity. They are used to explore design solution, evaluate usability, and identify potential issues or improvements in their user experience. Prototype are tropically created and are not intended for public release or commercial use. I don't know if you actually understood what it means here. So it is actually like it's just for you to gather, just the same thing as high fidelity or prototype. It's just like you are gathering the whole idea, the concept, trying to just improve on user experience, trying to create a solution, trying to make that okay, if this thing is actually implemented, it will not have issues. You're just trying to create a nice solution for your users. Now, a final product is the fully developed and released version of a design that is ready for public use. It represents the high point of design process, feedback from prototype, addressing an issue or concern, and meet the specific requirement and objective. Final products are polished, functional, and often include additional feature or enhance that we are not present in the prototype. They undergo rigorous testings and quality assurance processings to ensure they meet performance standard with delivered a seamless user experience. Once released, final product are intended to widespread use and by the target audience. You've actually understood what it means, right? So you can see that high fidelity is something that is not for public use. It's just for something that you need to work on your team. You just need to work on your team to say, okay, this is okay, this is let's make changes here. Okay, why the final product is fully developed. Let's say your developer has coded that work. That is what the final product actually look means. Okay. In summary, prototype are tools used to test and refine design concepts, which while final products are the complete. In prototype, I have to take this again. In summary, prototype are tools used to test and refine design concepts, while final products are the complete and polished version of those design that are ready for public use. Prototype are iterative and evaluates and and involves throughout the design concept, whereas the final product represents the good of, or let's say the good of that process and intended for um widespread adoption. Okay, so now you actually know the difference between prototypes and then final products. Final products are complete version of your design, they are polished, they are fully developed, while prototype are something that you need to work with in an organization, group of teams and group of the group of other designers, group of developers, group of product manager, group of shareholders and all. So that is what it actually means. So I believe you actually understood you have understood the types of prototyping, you understood the reason for prototyping, and then you actually know the introduction to prototyping. Then you see how prototype looks like, maybe the types of prototype, you know how the images look like and all. So bye and see you on next class. Thank you.